Hi, I'm Scott Willison, owner of the Confluence Fly Shop in Bellingham, Washington. And if you know me, you know how much I love to fish for various panfish, bluegill, crappie, pumpkin seed, you name it. Give me a 1 weight or a 2 weight or even a 3 weight, and show me a local pond out in the county or a little lake, and it is a fantastic way to whittle away the hours on a summer evening. So I'm going to tie you a bug that I've been fishing for a few years that absolutely rails on big crappie and bluegill. This is a Firetiger Panfish Gurgler. And several years ago we did a bluegill gurgler pattern on our YouTube channel, and still a fantastic fly, catches a lot of fish, but I've been kind of favoring this version of it the last few years. It floats a little higher in the water. It seems to hook fish very nicely, and just an alternative if you're looking to tie something new. And we're going to tie this in the ever popular Firetiger color, which has some chartreuse and yellow and orange. Really good fly. So I'm starting out in the vise with a number 10 Daiichi 1120. This is a heavy wire scud hook, and really helps to, at least the back end of the fly, to kind of sit low in the water so it's nice and enticing for fish. We're going to go ahead and start some 140 Denier Chartreuse Ultra thread on the shank. And then we're going to do some fluorescent yellow blood quill marabou for the tail. And I'm actually going to tie this in up kind of toward the eye, measure my tail out, and then we'll pinch it in place and wrap back over it. That'll help me to maintain a nice even underbody as much as possible with this fly. And then we can trim that marabou off. Totally optional, but I like to add a little bit of flash. I've got just some chartreuse crystal flash. I've got 2 strands, and I'm going to center tie them, and I'm going to get 2 of those going on the near side of the hook, and then we'll take 2 of them over to the far side of the hook. And then I like to lift that tail up and just take a wrap or 2 of thread just to kind of prop that up. It just helps prevent that tail from getting fouled when you're casting. Fish don't seem to like it so much when it's like that. And then we can go ahead and just trim off our flash and move on to the next step. So I've got a kind of already a pre-cut little strip of yellow 2mm foam that I cut out earlier. The way I like to measure these for determining the proper width is I want that strip of foam to be roughly equivalent to the hook gap, so the distance between the point of the hook and the shank. And that's what I use as my template. I've been tying a lot of these lately because the bluegill fishing's been just on fire this late spring, and so I've kind of got it down mentally to about how wide I need to cut this. And then I've also just trimmed the one end of the foam down to a little taper to make it a little bit easier to tie in. You'll notice I'm kind of leaving some room up toward the eye of the hook. I want to have plenty of room to get that foam lashed down at the front. And if you crowd the eye, you're going to have problems when you go to finish this. So just kind of loosely wrapping over the foam. You want to avoid like really binding down on that foam. One is if you tie it in rather loosely, you won't compress the foam, and it'll actually add a little bit of flotation to the fly. But two is if you pull too hard on your thread, you're actually at risk of just cutting through that foam, and then your fly doesn't last very long. I've been impressed that this little guy will catch countless fish before it really starts coming apart. The key is to really make sure you debarb these flies, as I've done prior, just to make it easier to get the fly out of the fish without injuring the fish or having to rip your fly apart to do it. So I've advanced my thread back up kind of to my the end of the foam and the Marabou, and I'm going to go ahead and do a dubbed body. And I like to do kind of two layers. I'm actually going to do a thin layer wrapping back toward the bend of the hook, and then I'm going to wrap back over it. And I find doing it this way not only helps you get a nice even body, which you're after, but also just makes for a very durable fly. So I've got my dubbing twisted on there, and I'm also kind of pulling on it with my fingers just to tighten it up. If you dub it on too loosely, after a number of fish, your body will just start coming unraveled. I just added a little bit more dubbing here to get me where I think I need to be. I think I'm going to need more yet. And this body here, for the body, I'm just using a Chartreuse ice dub. And again, this is another one, go wild with your color schemes. Black and Chartreuse works well. Sometimes an all white works well too, but right now we've got so much cottonseed in the air up here in Whatcom County that kind of looks like it's snowing, and white is rather hard to see on the water. So got my body completed, and I just built up a little head area just to give me something to bite into when I bring this foam forward. So I'm going to bring that foam over the back, and then I'm also going to kind of pinch the sides down a little bit to curve it. It'll make it easier to tie in. Start with just a couple of loose wraps, and then I can pull a little bit more tightly, and I'm good to go there. The next thing I'm going to do is fold this over, and then same thing, a couple of loose wraps, and then gradually tighten. And then I've got a nice blocky head there that's going to push some water and help this thing to pop a little bit, create a wake on the surface. I'm going to go ahead and get my scissors in there and just trim that foam over the back. Didn't quite get it even. There we go. And I trim that about midway down the back. Last little step we're going to do is add some legs, and every good panfish topwater fly has got to have legs. So for this, we're going to get our last color in the old Firetiger color scheme in play here, and we're going to do some. These are Rainey's barred rubber legs, Grizzly barred rubber legs in hot orange. And I've just got one long strand, and I've tied it in on one side of the hook. I'm going to take that and just loop that around the front, and we'll tie the other side in. And then I can trim that loop, and then we'll make sure we've got those in place. And again, kind of start with loose wraps and then gradually tighten up. Last thing I'm going to do is kind of use my finger to lift this head out of the way, and I'm going to try to build up some thread underneath just to prop it up a little bit. our whip finishing tool out. And whip finish under the head there, right at the eye of the hook. Trim that off, and then we'll just touch those thread wraps with a little bit of Solarez bone dry. Make this thing ultra durable. I don't really worry about getting on top of the foam, but I do like to get underneath, so. Alright, and then we'll trim those legs up just a little bit. I want the rear legs to extend about to the back of the body. And then those front legs just a little bit shorter, so they kind of splay out in an X pattern. But there you have it, the Firetiger Panfish Gurgler. These things are absolutely great topwater all over the country. You can pop them, you can let them sit, you can let them wake. Panfish love them all different ways. So grab your 2-weight or your 3-weight or the lightest rod you own and go have some fun with the panfish. So anyway, there you have it. Another video from the Confluence Fly Shop in Bellingham, Washington. You can find the materials for this fly and many others at our store in Bellingham. So thanks for watching. Please be sure to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more videos. And we will see you in the shop or on the water.